revoke and make null and void all contracts, rituals, programs, frequencies, harmonics within my mind, body, soul, and spirit, within my heart of understanding, within my alienated heart, all conscious and subconscious agreements with all malevolent forces, internal and mental abusive influencers, my narcissism, my psychopathy, my savagery, my deficits, all violent energetic entities, abusive thought forms, and patterning, in my embodiment and within all human embodiments, in my ethereal, energetic life within all forms of existence, in this plane, in this reality, in all planes, in all forms of realities, in all mental, emotional, and etheric spirited dimensions, perceptions, multiple timelines, past, present, and future. I revoke all false parasitic beliefs, thought patterns of enforcing others' thoughts, forms of their projected realities, their savagery, their programming, their agendas, their destruction, their fear, their influency, from within their mental and internal belief structures of their dominions, their lords, their creeds, their religion, their worship, their inner movements, their kingdoms, where they and those enforce, mesmerize their projections and Babylonian illusions and magic through external cruelty within my thoughts, my heart, my consciousness, my infinite creative power, entering into my inner sanctuary as a parasite feeding off of my creations and my realities made manifested. I revoke all parasitical mental thought forms, patterns that are dominating and subjecting me to believe in them from the very inception of their existence, of my existence, throughout my life paths, their actions, their existence, where they parasitize on the judgment of my consciousness to view their actions as they harm towards me. They harm all life, all humanity, all animal, all plant, all life on all versions of earth, all life in the sea, all life in the air, and all life in the ether, all terrestrial and extraterrestrial realms, all living transient elemental, their tyrannical lies and destruction. I collapse and fold and dissolve into oblivion the mental thought program that uses my creative power against me and through me, using my weaknesses against me to overpower me with belief in the mental parasite that manifests itself through the enforcing of the false beliefs, energy to feed their existence and to fuel their catastrophe, their catastrophic contracts, rituals, plans, and programs within my spirited infinite consciousness. I make null and void and fold back into itself and the parasitical construction of the mental thought patterns that violate the natural laws of this universe and install and replace and invoke within myself, within all, peace, love, balance, conscious awareness, heart-centeredness, care, nurture, harmony, and remembrance of the universal laws with consciousness for the universal mind, which is great spirit within the laws of mentalism, correspondence, vibration, polarity, rhythm, cause and effect and gender. Great spirit as the multi-universe exists in perfect harmony, love, creation and order by virtue of these laws made in existence with us, for us, and within us, as we are within it. It is done. Hi everyone. Today I have decided to bring to you all the information that we've been seeing and that we've been bringing forward in the many meetings that I've had with the many people that I've spoken with And I've touched briefly on the Primordial Forces. I've spoken about Cthulhu. For those who have followed in the Eve Lorgan interview where I spoke about Cthulhu, and we analyzed that on the spot. And then we also brought in the information with Marita Vimen from the Golden Voyage, and within that information there was also a lot of other things that came through as well with regards to the chakra, as well as the things that we are dealing with right now. So what I would like to bring in right now is kind of like a bringing it together for us to understand that we are dealing with something that is in relation to our consciousness. This particular thing that I'm trying to explain to you has to do with the primordial forces, or the prima materia, that is the foundation of the this verse, this universe, one verse, this verse that we are in, that we frequent in, that we exist in, as our matter, as our material existence. I'm speaking about only about this verse. I'm not talking about all the other ones that we have been experiencing in. This one particularly is related to the chaos that's been taking place in our reality. We are also touching on the root of what the cause is for all of this. As you know, I tend to go into the root of the whole situation rather than to touch on things on a topical or superficial manner. This is why our work, this body of work, the channel, is so unique. It is related to what is the root of everything and not the topical, or what is related to just because you see it doesn't mean that it's relevant to what you're going through. I can say that with great assurance that we are in our power to discern. We have our full right and our full empowerment to discern and to see what is a play and what is us. We also understand and know that there are many of us, many bodies, many beings that make up the body of Great Spirit. And Great Spirit is a word, is a name for a big element that is the creative element that exists while we are existing within it. You can call it God, you can call it Creator, you can call it Source, but I choose to use the name Great Spirit, which is also derived from the Native American Indians, where they refer to that Great Spirit as Wakantanka. Now, for any one of you who have been seeing that particular reference, I'm speaking about Great Spirit, I am saying that that is how we must look at the entire, well, let me put it this way, I'm sharing with you this part that we must understand in relation to Great Spirit. If we, many bodies, in individual consciousness, unique and whole to ourselves, like fingerprints on a hand, these fingerprints are all different. They're all unique to that finger. We are the fingerprints of the hand, of the fingers on the hand. That is how we understand who we are and where our role is within Great Spirit as such. So, we also know that there is a particular force that is taking shape within this reality. It is a malevolent force. I call it a parasitical force. I'm calling it a parasite because that is what it is. This particular parasitical force is related to life in itself. Now, walk with me in this garden of consciousness that we're discussing right now. And I'm hoping that I'll be able to point out the many important points or nodes or portals of what it is that we are looking at and how we are going to be able to clear it up. The first thing I need to say is that for those who know me, and you guys who know me very well, aside from the fact that I'm digging into the roots of everything, I am relating also the information to a very particular way of thinking, which is related to a spirited thought rather than a physical thought. And this is related to where I discuss the explanation of how we are particularly growing within ourselves in this particular way. It is related to understanding and being aware that nothing can exist without us making it so. It is also taking away the belief that there is one singular element that is controlling that, and there is that element, which means it's duality. It is not duality. This particular information that we're discussing is, it acknowledges the entire reality for what it is related to us, as us relating it to it. So it is based on the natural laws that this universe consists out of. This universe is relating itself to us. Just as Great Spirit is relating itself to us, we are relating to Great Spirit in the same way. Therefore, it's also important to understand that when I talk about the prima materia, or the primordial force, I am referring to that as the foundation or the composting. I love to call it compost because that is what it is. It is literally dark because it is not known. It is moves within the nature of everything that is alive. And when I say the nature of everything that is alive, I do know that I have discussed this before. The nature of everything that is alive is related to what is your nature? What is the tree's nature? What is natural to your organic existence within a higher spirited consciousness? In other words, I'm describing to you Great Spirit, which is, in other words, I'm describing you, and I'm describing myself. If there are 10 people that are keying in to this particular information, and there are 10 more coming in connecting to those 10 people, as an example, then Great Spirit is 20 people big. That is what it is. And this is a relative example of how powerful we are as beings. This is what I feel was always meant to be for us, that we needed to understand that. This is our lesson. So, if I explain to you Cthulhu, I must explain to you the other side of Cthulhu. I must explain to you why. Why Cthulhu? Why does Cthulhu exist? Or what is the nature of Cthulhu, rather? So, we are aware of the chaotic sacrifices that's been taking place, rituals, as we know, that have been taking place within our human societies. And human society is a cluster of a group of people, which is actually supposed to be a village, which becomes a society once there is a social structure in place, and that social structure is related to the beliefs, laws, things that are governmenting the mind, the thoughts, the human protocol, process, whatever you want to call it, life. And that society becomes an egregore. An egregore is an element that has a life of its own. So, for example, it is a non-physical element that has a life of its own. A building or a statue of a god or a mythological creature, the more you stare at it, the more it becomes alive. Somehow you get the sense that it's watching you. That depends on how much belief you give it. That depends on how much emotional energy you focus into that as such. That forms part of the chaos. Now, there are people who are practicing chaos magic. Their practices require the invocations of spirits and beings and things and elements that come out of the primordial, which in actual fact, what I'm trying to say to you is they are just conjuring up things that people believe in, that have created it to life. If I've believed with all of my life, with all of my heart, in, when I was little, in the Easter Bunny, I actually saw it in my mind as a child. For example, the Easter Bunny becomes alive. I start seeing the Easter Bunny. I can smell it even. Sometimes I can feel it just brushing past me. And I've given life to something that was meant to be a mythology. And therefore I have created my own egregore of the Easter Bunny. So what I'm trying to move into with you is to explain to you that I am addressing the devil, the demons, the monsters, those things. I'm going to call it the monster. That which we are seeing is taking place, that which is behaving as if it's got no qualm, and yet it is exposing itself more and more and more. The more we are looking without looking, the more we are perceiving and becoming aware of, the more we are seeing how it is exposing itself like a arrogant, malevolent creature, proud of itself, happy to cancel energy out, happily, gleefully. In fact, it's quite disturbing to see the gleeful expression of Bill Gates when he says, "This is the next thing." Reminds me of that guy Smithers in The Simpsons, pretty much. The only thing that's not happened is he hasn't dropped dead, but I'm wondering how many clones of him exist. But that's my personal opinion. Coming back, we are in a catharsis. The reason this video is made and why it's called Catharsis is to explain to you that we have now come to moot point. We have come to a point where we are now seeing it. Not the changes, not the 510 billion million stories about the same thing over and over and over and over and over that you wish you could rather just switch off. It's almost like an overload of information and insight. The catharsis is normally part of a play. Catharsis is a release or a purging, one could say, of the emotions that have been building up in this reality. And we know for a fact that the biggest emotion that's being purging right now is fear. Because sometimes you are so afraid, or rather let me put it this way, I will generalize here and say that fear in the majority of the human embodiment in this reality is fearing what was the most feared and realizing that it is happening. That is the moot point. Believing that the Easter Bunny was real, and here it is, standing right next to me. Now, it still is looking at you. It is it is relating itself to you. That which is on in this reality, the chaos in this reality, the chaos in this reality relates to you, to me, to us, to the human embodiment, the human energy. With its spirited awareness, it is now seeing that there is a demon that it needs to fight. We need to fight the demon. I mean, I've seen so many of these people coming along, these youngsters perhaps, where they're announcing very proudly that they are going to take a team with them and they're going to beat down this enemy. If you're wanting to beat down the enemy, you have to go within yourself. You can never beat the enemy outside of yourself unless there's a person who's physically coming at you. You can defend yourself. I'm saying be logical in regards to this comment. Cthulhu is the foundation of the organic building structure between the layers of reality, materia, in this plane, in this existence. What I'm saying to you is that you have to imagine, you have to look at a giant egg, and Earth is inside this egg. It would look like a nucleus, actually. And once you're looking at the way that the primal matter flows between the layers of the reality that you're existing in, prima materia is the layers of primordial force that exist within the layers of matter in this reality. You're looking at an egg. I could say that the Earth is within the egg, so are the other planets within this egg. The entire solar system, this solar system is in the shape of an egg, roughly in the shape of an egg. Well, it's actually more like a loose type of shaped D, letter D, capital D. These layers are the energy within everything. Spirit influences the primal matter by thinking, feeling, projecting, expression, all the building blocks of creation at all moments of time, at all moments of the day, every millisecond that you find there is a creation taking place at all times. In other words, it is infinite creation taking place constantly. This universe, the one with this earth in, this version, is a forever verse, or an infinitely potential creative universe. It draws a lot of attention because it's so unique. It is the fountain of youth. Contrary to all the writers and the philosophers who have been looking for that fountain of youth, when in actual fact it was right underneath their feet. So yeah, I guess this is another part of the disclosure process taking place. I hate that word. It's so man-made. It's so... disclosing something means like I'm inside a court and I give evidence. I'm not giving any evidence to you. I'm reminding you of what we already know. We've just forgotten. So it's not disclosure. It is what we already know. The Garden of Eden has 5 main characters in it. The story is written in such a way that it incorporates all the levels of energy within it for us to observe a very whole, beautiful, unique story with some fear in it too. It's like a drama. You have Adam and Eve, masculine and feminine, masculine, feminine. The snake, the tree, and you have God. And then maybe I'll just add in the garden as it's a 6th character. But that 6th character is rooted within the consciousness. It is tied into that hidden chakra. That hidden chakra ties into the awareness or the consciousness that the garden exists. In other words, that is the beginning. When you are aware now. God, and I'm referring to the story, God is Adam and Eve. We are Adam and Eve within ourselves. God also is the tree of knowledge of good and evil, which means 2 sides to a story. Creation takes place, remember now, creation takes place when I think there's one side, I work with it in my thoughts, it makes an impression, thoughts, thinking, and I see lights. My eyes are lights shining into this prima materia. And into this prima materia, creation takes place. Because light creates. When people say, I am a light worker, what are you working? Are you working on your eyes all the time? You must be, I suppose. There is no such thing as a light worker. There is a healer. There is a guide. There is a person who is the mediator. These are just small things that I find amusing because it is limiting. It is labeling and limiting oneself to believe in only one particular way. You are not just light, you are all light. You are the entire spectrum of light. Light comes in multitude of spectrum of frequencies. You are not just white light. You are red, green, blue, orange, yellow, black, brown, whatever you want to call it, however many colors there are. You are all of that. When you are trying to imply that you do good work, you must acknowledge the fact that you are working with the light and the dark, because where can you recognize the light the most? It is in the shadows. It is in the dark. And if you believe that you are outside of the darkness and you go into that world and you go and fight, and stand strong, then you are also fighting within yourself. The Garden of Eden is masculine, feminine, the tree which is within the heart, the heavens and the earth. The snake is on the earth. The birds are in the sky. God versus the earth, or Tiamat, or Urta, as I know that. I know earth to have been known as Urta. And it is vilified because of the belief of a person who has interpreted that story in such a way that they are so fragmented that they understand that there's a good and a bad. You have to understand there's good and bad. There's evil and there's good. So what I'm trying to say to you is, the snake was designed. The serpent was designed. This is beyond the labels of Satan and nothing else, because Lucifer is a different element altogether. Okay? There is Satan, Al-Shaitan, Satan, however you want to call it. It means the one who creates judgment. Where do you judge? I decide if that is the right thing to do. I will decide. I am working on my inner judgment. Don't judge me. Do you follow what I'm saying? This menace to society, this Gates menace, Gates, it is a character that is playing itself out in a parasitized manner that rides on the judgment. It rides on the coattails of Satan. How about that? So what I'm trying to say to you is, God put the snake there so that we must learn to discern. And when there's discernment, when there's a healthy discernment, that we are then aware that we can choose. So that is built in. That was already put in there. There's a reason for it, that it's there. You have conscious awareness. You see and perceive what you're experiencing. You go within. Then there is the judgment. Shall I take that one or that one? Shall I do this or that? You have already taken in the fruit of knowledge of good and evil. You have actually taken in the fruit of your personal consciousness that is about yes or no, or left or right, or right from wrong. That's actually what it was supposed to be. I do understand, I do believe that it's written, that was originally written as the tree of right and wrong, not of good and evil. Originally, that is what it was written as, where you will learn to understand. It is tied to your mind. Your mind which is also your womb, how you understand and how you perceive the information. This is so what I'm trying to say to you is the reason the whole thing is taking place right now is to show us that we are learning within the physical reality, the constraints, the interference, the physical painful interference. We are learning, we are seeing and discerning, and we are choosing to judge, decide whether we want to go through with it. I can tell you for a fact that there are more than maybe perhaps a quarter of the planet that have wished for some sort of doomsday to take place. They expected it because they wanted it, because they felt they needed to stop with their work. They needed somebody to take care of them. A villain only exists if there is a person who believes that they are the prey, a victim, or if they're only good, if they just do good, light worker. A shaman walks between the light and the dark, in the middle, in the balance, in the heart. One true recognition of a shaman is one who has experienced a hell of a lot of shit in the background and have actually made it through. In other words, you have lived through very, very close moments of death and emotional death, etc. So what I'm trying to say to you is this whole monster that's around here, knowing that if you have to understand that the perception must be to see that this monster comes from those within our societies who have wished for it to have taken place within themselves because they lacked the responsibility to take care of themselves. I don't want to look after myself, so I'm just too lazy to look after myself. I don't really feel like doing the inner journey. I don't really feel like doing the demon, the shadow work. I don't really feel like doing any of that stuff. It's boring. I'll just feed myself through my eyes. I'll feed myself through things I want to see that could, pacify me, make me feel better. What I see could make me feel better, topical cream. And before I know it, there it is. There's the it. What we believe in must be within ourselves. We must be in ourselves and be alive within ourselves. We must live within ourselves with the awareness that we are Great Spirit in plural. Just focus only on that. Only focus on that. There is no outsider that will come in. And if there is some outsider that happens to float down on the clouds in a ship, whatever, they have to prove themselves to you. They have to key into exactly your heart energy, to exactly the same. But if you find yourself seeking some outside source to assist you and looking around and scrambling around to look for information to try and help you feel better, while you are looking outside of yourself, that which is within is waning. And the more it is waning within yourself, the more there is outside of yourself, the more you are living in a deficit, the more you are living out of your balance. And that is really what the message is. Not about who Gates is, what the COVID is, and I'm saying these things now because I don't care, because it's false. And even those and that which is processing this material, which is seeing it, cannot. That egregore has no life of its own. It's false. It's light. It's like a piece of paper. I mean, no, it's not even paper. It's just a widget. I'm going to call it a widget. So what I want to try and say to you is, Cthulhu does exist, but not the way you think it is. What I'm trying to tell you is Cthulhu is the expression which was written by H.P. Lovecraft in his novels, vilifying and making it a monster, and this evil demons. There's this big pit of evil demon. Because he's afraid of himself. Cthulhu exists if you have within your deepest thoughts, you could go and kill someone right now. You could go on a rampage and shoot everyone. Or you could take your own life. Whatever. It's those deepest, darkest things within yourself, the devil, is uncomfortable to perceive. Revelations. You cannot look unto it unless you have died. It's so terrible to look inside of myself that I think I could just die. That's really what it's about. We want to kill this monster that is around us, because I know there's some of us who actually feel or the way for us to get rid of it is to get rid of the shadows within ourselves, those feelings we have for ourselves. If I want to go and kill someone, I'm going on to that subject because that's the best subject, that's the closest I can go to. Or if I want to go and hurt that animal, it's because I'm angry. I have to go back, all the way back within myself, and find out why did I feel disempowered to begin with. 2, feel hurt like I was the animal. Do you see the projection? So now I want to get even. So these creatures that are coming up with their things, their injections and their stories, all they are doing is playing out a story, the same story, over and over and over, where the snake was vilified. You know, choose. We'll make you better. You've lived, you as a society, you wanted us to take care of you. You never wanted to take care of yourself, so you called us. You made us. We created it. We, as a society, created this monster within ourselves because we chose not to clear up within ourselves that monster's thoughts, those monster's thoughts. Now there are some of you that might not feel comfortable with what I'm explaining here, but I'm respectful of that. I'm sharing with you my personal thoughts and my personal perception and my awareness with what I am seeing it, and I'm trying to explain it in the most objective, logical, spirited explanation as I can. Don't expect outside help, okay? Because whatever comes outside of you is the same as what is happening on the planet right now. You may be upset when I'm telling you this, but the sooner you go into yourself, the more you will find what it is that you need to kill, what you need to get rid of. Kill that monster inside of you. On the archetypal reference that is inside of the garden, the Satan, the serpent, as I've said to you that it is judgment, nothing must be worshipped outside of us. We are not meant to worship anything outside of ourselves. We are meant to understand that everything that is around us are expressions of our creation. We are not meant to worship our creation either. So Satanists and whatever other beliefs and religions there are having an exponential shift, which is related to the catharsis in the first place. That very thing that's taking shape right now is a scientific thing, which means there was a worship in science and technology. So Satanists Religions, all of those things, those are worshipped aspects, things that require a belief to create an egregore. Remember what I told you, something that is essentially got no life in it is being given life, like the Easter Bunny. So Satanists don't exist, except for the people who are creating the misfit actions inside in the name of something that they believe in so that they can get away with it. Please be mindful that I'm not saying that you must stop believing in anything that is wondrous and beautiful, but we are not allowed to or meant to worship anything. This is really the fall of that. So I'm leaving you that. Think about it. This also doesn't mean that there's a negation of anything that is related to Christianity or Christos, as I've heard it being used before. Christos is nothing other than the expression of your inner energy, your light within yourself, in all frequencies, to create a positive movement within yourself and around you. The word Christos is a label, yet again, that is attached to a belief in something outside, an external belief. We must be very, very careful how we see things. I'm not saying that we must believe in nothing. I'm saying we must be mindful that we are being alive within Great Spirit. We don't need anything else to define our existence. We are the definition of life as such. So what I'm leaving with you is this. The snake is not the devil. Satan is not the devil. The devil is that which is attached to the tail, the story that is connected to the devil, to the snake. The snake's tail. The story of the serpent is to give belief to something that is much bigger than me, because I feel that much smaller than I should be. That is what I'm trying to say to you. These are archetypes, okay? These are metaphorical archetypes that we must understand. This reality is abstract. It is only material because the prima materia is the building block for our creation. Weeding out the garden, yes. Weeding out the garden of the primordial consciousness, weeding the garden of the primordial consciousness, clearing that out, really clearing it out, going to the roots of the things that really make you feel pissed off, really make you feel upset. Damn you, mother, father, whoever you are, whatever, this is an example. Why did you not love me? I don't feel you loved me enough. So I live in a deficit, expecting outside of me someone to come and save me, someone to come and love me in the same way. I see that my commentary has become more like a rant, and I apologize. It's not ranting. I'm purging with you. We are weeding the garden together. I'm just the other side of the thoughts. Just for interest's sake, I'm just highlighting the things that I've been thinking about. Just remember that the snake is earthbound. It's meant to be there. It's meant to be there so that we can learn how to judge and discern. Look it up. Satan means judge, nothing more. It's the stories around it that is what we're fighting. We're fighting a mythological creature of exponential size, because there's so many beliefs in something that was meant to be there to assist us in judging for ourselves. I leave you with that. Thank you, everyone. Much love.